Every year, Startup Grind hosts our SG Women Leaders Month, proudly recognizing the accomplishments of successful women leaders all over the world. These women are founders, venture capitalists, engineers, executives, educators, and more who represent our community all around the world. This month's SG Women Month is proudly presented by Google for Startups and Silicon Valley Bank.
Today, we are looking at a topic called building your network through compelling storytelling, through authenticity, creativity, and impact as well. So we have here today with us two amazing women, all right, which you already seeing them on the screen now. Let's all welcome SoMa Som, which is the founder of SoMa SociaL, as our guest speaker today, all the way from Bangkok. And we have Yilin, who is the business development manager from PTX, who is currently on screen as well, and she is based out of Singapore. So, without any further ado, I would like to pass this amazing fireside chat session to our moderator, Yilin.
Thank you, Malcolm. Can everyone hear us? Hear me? Yes, if you can you just comment at the Q&A section? Maybe Soma, you can say hi.
Hey, can you hear me too? Hi, what's up?
All right. Yes, they can hear us. So thank you, Malcolm. Today at Startup Grind Women, we have a community builder and superwoman in the startup and tech scene in Bangkok, SoMa Som. So today we'll chat on building your network through compelling story. So hello, Soma, again. So before I start, I just want to share on how we got to know each other actually. Soma and I got connected actually from the last Women Will Sarawak event that happened like last month in May. So when we got connected online on Facebook, right, I saw like we have 44 mutual friends. And I'm like, how? I'm from Malaysia, based in Singapore, and she's from Bangkok, you know? Like her network had stretched all over to Malaysia already. So Soma, maybe you can start by sharing with us how you got started and how you got to where you are now with your networks.
Hello, everybody. First, I want to say Sawadika from Bangkok, Thailand. Very excited to be here. Thank you, Malcolm and team, for inviting me. And yes, it's a beautiful day today. Okay, so my name is Soma, and I do a lot of things, and I do wear a lot of hats as well. So let me just tell you a little bit about my background. I started my journey actually in the news station and then news media agencies. I used to work in the US before coming to Thailand. And when I moved back to Thailand, I was working at another news station. We had a chance to develop the first mobile app for the news station, and also the live streaming for the website, and also setting up the social media for the news station. So for me, I felt like, wow, the smartphone has so much potential. And that's how I really got my foot in the tech scene. And also by attending a lot of events. So that was when startup scene started here in Thailand. And there were a lot of networking and tech events. So I went to a lot of them and started to learn about the Google communities. And what happened was Google invited me to Google I/O in San Francisco. And it was the year that Women Tech Makers was launched. And I got so excited to see women in tech and all the community coming together. So when we came back to Thailand, we hosted events for women in tech. And that's how my tech in kind of like community building journey started. Yeah.
I see. So like now I know how you have built your network because you've been to so many events from SF, like Google I/O to, I think Google communities are very much also very global and international. And is that how you built your international network as well?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, actually, I have to say that my community building started way back in high school, actually. I started an online community for my friends to check in and see which homework we have to hand in, or what we have to do. So actually I was just thinking, like, it really started like way back. So I like to share information, and then I'm like the hub of friends. So it started earlier in that back in the days. And then when I was studying in the university, I actually am very involved in the student body, so doing a lot of events and going to a lot of associations. So I think it was like a journey that led to where I am today, right? So small little actions and connecting the dots. And so building communities is like comes natural to me. Yeah.
Wow, wow. Like with all this network and being so involved in this community, like what are the benefits of having this network of people actually?
So, you never know who you will meet, right? Or when you go to events, first of all, be genuine, right? I never go to events thinking like, okay, what am I gonna get out of this person? For me, it's about getting to know the person. And you never know, in the future, you might be working with them. They might be your future colleagues. So, just be there, open, be there and be open. That's what I wanted to share.
Right, I see. So like from being genuine and you get to be connected to so many, your network, the people around the community, right? Is that how you got started into like doing Women Will, so many initiatives? Is that also from the network, and how do you want to get started with all these communities? Maybe you
For
can
sure.
share
I
with
think
us.
I'm a people's person. So I love meeting people, right? And going to events is fun for me. And then when I started hosting events, a lot of people also come to my events. So, or when my friends host event, I also go as a guest. So it's like, they come to my events, I go to their events. And then that's how it kind of started. And for Women Will, I'm the Women Will lead for Thailand right now. And it's about sharing stories because I feel like we learn so much from each other. And we get inspired, by learning about their journey. So for me, it also inspires me. And I learned so much from all the women, also men. So just to be clear here, we do need support from everyone in the community. So men, women, and every gender in between. So very much a inclusive community here. So by building your network through hosting events, going to events, but also creating online communities as well. So I do also have a couple of online communities that I share just from my passion.
And what do you love most about networking? Like, yes, you mentioned about being inspired, right? What else?
Actually, I met the best of friends. For example, Malcolm, we became friends, and it's through just by community building, right? And then you see who you actually get along with, how their stories, are similar to you. But the one thing is also how to keep the relationship going, right? Because a lot of the time when we go to a lot of networking events, it's like, here's my business card. Like for me, that does not work. The business card thing does not work. I need to get to know the person as a person, more than just that what are they doing for work, right? So what their hobbies are, what do they like to do? So for me, that interests me, or what are they passionate about? So for me, it was never about the title. He could be the director of so-and-so, but it's more about that person as a person. And so, by making that connections, and you never know when that connection will become useful, let's say, in the future.
Talking about being genuine, right? Actually, like you did leave an impression on me, actually. Like I got to know you even before Women Will, actually from Startup Weekend Malaysia, where we were also mentoring. Like out of so many speakers, I remembered you. I think I heard your voice on one of the sessions, and I was thinking like, who is that lady with that high-pitched voice, and from there, I remembered you like what a way to like leave an impact. Like besides you being you, like I can remember like you wearing a hat and all that. Like besides that, what tips would you share with us to successfully make a positive first impression during networking?
As I was sharing, a lot of things come very natural to me. So I don't really have a checklist, but I think smile helps, and show up, right? And your body language, for example. So if you go into the room or into a webinar, or online thing, and you are like this, and you're like, like people will not pay attention to you, right? So what you have to do is you have to, breathe, woo, pull your shoulders back and smile. I mean, woo. Okay, I normally don't do this all the time, but it actually helps. If you just need like a breather, so just breathe in and pull your shoulders back, and it will, yes, get you ready to start networking or meeting the next person online.
Yeah, I think like being very brave and also like have that confidence like could make that positive first impression. I agree on that. Like what gives you that confidence, and how do you motivate yourself besides just breathing like that?
Well, I mean, I think I'm just passionately curious, right? Like, I just love to ask questions. Maybe that's what it is as well. Sometimes I ask the most random question and people were not expecting that. So they're like, oh, did not expect that. You know, maybe I don't start with the simple questions, you know, or maybe I go right deep into the topic, depending on the situation. But I guess ask the interesting questions, you know, that could be a start.
Like what are the common like or maybe what kind of interesting questions do you ask? Like do you just ask them about, oh, where you got that shirt from, like, you know, like
Actually,
how do you start that conversation?
that is a good conversation starter. So for example, I normally wear a scarf. People actually know me because I always have a scarf on, so they recognize me. So, you know, if you see someone that has a really cool shirt, you can also comment on the shirt, right? This is a very like a conversation starter. I was gonna say that the color you wear to events or online meetings or, you know, webinar series, if you see, it also have an effect on the other person. So if you want to think about, you know, if you are wearing orange, for example, my nickname in Thai is actually Som. Som means orange. So I love colors. So I normally show up in very colorful clothing, especially in a tech event. And that's how you stand out, right? But it's really me. Like, I love colors. So I cannot go there in just all black, you know? Yeah. So
Right.
be and be you. Have your own style.
I see. I guess it does make a first good impression on you. Like when I see colors, I remember you, right? I remember your blue eyeshadow and your hat, right? I think that makes a difference. Like I bet after this event, people would definitely remember you, you know, instead of me, because like I don't have a hat, I don't have a like super colored top. I think that's a great tip to give others. Yeah.
But sure, but to share, I think for me, I get a lot of business cards, right? And I try to actually add them on social media network that they prefer, rather than if you want to give a business card, that's fine. But I'd rather connect you from either LinkedIn, you know, if they prefer Twitter, for example, it's you have that connection, right? Because as a business card, it's just gonna fly off, or, you know, you wouldn't remember who it was. Or in the beginning, I was like writing like, okay, which month, which event. But then again, if you meet so many people, you will not be able to remember. So yeah, I would say connect with them on their preferred choice of social media.
Right. So for you, you would prefer LinkedIn over and Twitter over Facebook? Is that so?
Really depends. My Facebook is now my network as well. Actually, my Facebook started with just really close friends, and now when you go to events, it's, you know, just, yeah. So it really depends, and some people prefer LinkedIn, so I understand that as well. So it depends on what they prefer. Yep.
So like and how do you separate like personal life from, like, because in a way when you have that network, right, in a way it will into your personal life. Like how do you separate yourself from there? Or do you just like, hey, like my personal life has nothing personal, like I'm okay to share? Like how do you balance that? Like, because sometimes I struggle with that. Like, do I put it up, you know? Do I have a private channel for my own personal stuff, you know? So how do you balance that?
Actually, I have more than one Facebook account, but that was because I got locked out when I was traveling in Peru. I'm not kidding. So what I also realized at that time was everything actually does not belong to you. Your network can disappear at any moment. And it was actually a wake-up call for me as well, because everything that you built online, if you cannot get access, you know, or something goes wrong, your network is actually gone. So I would say actually have more than just one social network that you are connected to, just in case. That was from my experience when I was traveling in Peru. And actually, I couldn't message my friends on my Facebook, and we had to meet, and that was so hectic. But yeah, it was quite a story. So I actually learned a lot from that experience.
Right, from your Facebook account. I see, I see. Okay, okay. So maybe you can share with us, like now during this COVID-19 pandemic session, right? Like we have changed the way we humans connect, collaborate, and communicate, right? And with everything going online, like have you stopped going for events and stopped building your network?
Yes, so this is quite a story as well. And with this whole lockdown, actually there's no events, right? So all the events are canceled, all my trips were canceled, every conference is canceled, and everyone just jumped online. So actually with Malcolm as well, we hosted the coffee chats for the GBG leads, and we actually get to get connected to people across the world, right? And people before normally don't have the time, but now they do have the time. So we actually get to connect with people from every country, and it was such an amazing experience. And we got invited to Startup Weekend for the Malaysia one. So for mentoring, right? And there were so many chance to meet people online. So it became a really like different world out there. So you are meeting a lot of people from every country, depending on which program you are joining or things like that. So I highly recommend you to explore.
So how does this kind of online networking work? Like how is it different from offline networking?
Very different, right? Because now we're at a box, and you know, I don't even know what you do, where you're from. So I think the conversation takes more time. But for example, each, let's say, program has their own unique functionality. And for Startup Weekend, we did have a mentor session where we actually have a virtual room, and that was in Remo, right? And we have our table where the other people can come and actually have a one-on-one session, so we can mentor, or we can also move to other tables. So everything is now from offline to online. So it is a very different experience, but definitely explore that. And I think it is the future. We are heading in that direction, right? And not to mention the whole VR, AR scene as well. That's also another planet on its own. And the progress has been like on the rise. So yeah, definitely shifting from that.
But besides Remo, like what other interesting like ways, because Remo is like in a way a virtual space where they can jump around. What else? Like I've actually seen like speed networking online, you know.
So
have you attended that as well?
I'm currently involved in the Women's Startup Lab, and for our event, we're using Hop-In. So you do have the opportunity to network. There is a panel in the right-hand side, left-hand side, where you press networking, and it will match you with someone for 3 minutes. So you actually get to meet some attendees for 3 minutes and then next. And you can also invite them to a video call. So I think the video call is when you get to know more about the person and exchange contacts and share your stories and things like that. But it is a surprise. You never know who you will meet as well. Or for example, I joined Complexity Weekend. It's similar to a Startup Weekend. And you know, you jumped in, they use Keybase. So we just jumped in, and then you meet all these people, and everyone has their own profile. And of course, but for that one, you join the team by the topic. So I joined the food supply chain, and then you meet everyone. So everyone in that team is new to me. Some in Brazil, some in Portugal, some is from in France. So then again, you have to introduce yourself, you know, and you get to know each other from online. So for me, it was so interesting, and just meeting people from diverse backgrounds. Plus, right now, all the meetups are held virtually. So you can join events in Silicon Valley, in Berlin, in Copenhagen, everywhere, right? And of course, the Facebook groups, the live, you can join also from every country. So your choices are really endless in that sense. And also the Facebook groups, Malaysia has been on it. They're so active. Woo! You guys are non-stop having live videos, Q&A, fireside chat. So good job to you guys as well. So yeah, lots of communities, lots of exciting ways to network. A Discord is another one. The Apex Startup, there's also a channel there, so check that one out. Yep.
And I mean, in this like online networking sessions or platforms, it's very limited, right? The time that we have, and in a way, and there's so many people, and you're fighting for that screen time. Like, how do we continue build that relationship and build that long relationship with your network? Like, which platform do you use, and how? Because there's so many, right?
Yeah, so I normally, then again, we add on, you know, either Facebook or Instagram, whatever you prefer, but then have the conversation after as well. So it's not just meeting them, right? But you also have to follow up or have the follow-up conversation. And that for me is the important part, because sometimes the 3 minutes is not enough, and just have the conversation after the event. But now actually a lot of the, those kind of startup weekends, they try to schedule the call like a week after the event or like 2 weeks, so the team can also meet each other, or happy hour, or have some happy hour. Oh yeah, so the Discord for the APAC one also has the happy hour, so you can join that as well. So yeah, so I think spending more time with the person who you just met and learning about what they do as well. And who knows, maybe you get to collaborate on future projects together.
Talking about projects, you have so many things on your, like so many things that you're doing right now. Maybe you can share how like your network, like you have collaborated through your networks and or the community has helped you develop in professionally as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I've met so many amazing people through my network, and so we, you know, share same passion, for example, for environment, for design, for film, for cinema. So I've been able to meet them and actually collaborate in a lot of projects, you know. And what I do is I join a project on different levels, right? And from a catalyst to PR, media marketing, you know, inviting speakers, connecting the dots. So it really depends, but I really like found most amazing friends and also communities from these network as well. So really, like for me, you never know who you will meet, right? But another tip I wanted to give you is, it's not who knows you, it's not who you know, but it's who knows you as well. You must have heard this before, right? Have you heard this one before?
Yes. Yeah, sometimes I'm like, oh, sorry, I don't know where you're from. Have I met you before? Yeah. Okay. I think, yeah, go ahead, sorry.
No, it's about also who you know in the industry also can help you in as a launch pad to a lot of things. But just to share currently what I'm working on, so we're in part of the global pitch for women entrepreneurs, and check out more information at womenstartuplab.com. And it will be on June 18th and 19th, and it's going to be a global event where we invite women entrepreneurs from across the globe to pitch their startups and share their stories, and also have amazing speakers. And again, from this, I also met through networking. So a lot of all these things I get connected through is from networks.
Nice. And something about like network, right? Like, yes, you get great context from there, and sometimes like, how do you identify those that are toxic, that just want everything from you, you know? Yeah.
Actually, I had my fair share of that as well. And I think learning to say no was one of the hardest things for me personally. And I'm pretty much a yes person. Like, yes, I want to be involved. Like, you know, when I find something interesting, I want to be involved in that project, you know. And I had to actually take a step back and said, you know what? No, you know, and for me, it was hard. It was a learning process as well. But I think you learn along the way. But I can totally understand what you mean.
Got it. So I think not saying yes to everything is important. Like sometimes, even with that, right? People, there are hate comments. Like when you do that, when you say no to somebody, they have hate comments. It goes around. I guess from your confidence, it kept you going, right? From that energy you have.
No. I think you have to go through that as well. And that's why I said it was hard for me. And you have to go through a few of those to understand. But I would say, again, surround yourself with people who understands you and maybe on the same journey as you, you know? And that, it really helps to support.
Got it. Got it. So maybe we talked a little bit about people that are a bit too shy on going out to network, right? So what tips and tricks do you share for those who are a bit shy in the crowd?
You know, actually, I was going to say that in events, if you are active on social media, you can meet so many people online. When you go to conferences, I normally tweet and use the hashtag from the event. That's why I was talking and seeing which hashtag we're using for this event. So you can also tweet and hashtag. And again, you never know who you will meet. You know, yeah, I've met some amazing people through hashtags actually. So
Wow.
never underestimate the power of hashtags.
Right.
Oh, yeah, and there's a lot more network platform as well. Flare, check that one out as well. Malcolm can share you more about that. So there's a lot more networks, online network that is coming up to cater to connecting founders and investors and things like that.
Nice. I think now online networking help people are a bit more introverted to start networking, right? Because in a way you're still like protected by the screen, and I guess in a way it's so much easier to connect. Like for me, like during offline events, right? Especially when sometimes I can be a little bit more introvert as extrovert I can be. What I would do is like I would actually find someone that I know in the crowd and like team up with that person. And then once I get a bit comfortable, then I go out and talk to people. Like do people, like, do you see friends that actually does that? Like come to you and start talking to you and then go on and do and connect more?
Oh yeah, totally, a lot. So whatever works for you, right? Whatever works for you, just do that. And I think when you're at a tech conference or event, I think people are really like there to meet other people as well. So don't be afraid to say hello or hi. Yeah, it's I think you'll be surprised that they are ready to talk to you.
Right. Okay. I think that's great. Like let's see in the Q&A section, right, what other questions that people do have. So we have a question from Stephanie. So I think it's more on the business side of things. Like, how do you start as a businesswoman? And I mean, do you start as an agent or drop shipper or something else? I think maybe you could share how you start as a businesswoman with maybe SoMa SociaL and all that.
Sure. So actually, I have a portfolio of businesses. My family business is in jewelry. Actually, we do B2B. So I'm the director for the company, but it's something I grew up with, and I've seen how we deal with customers and things like that. So that's why I feel like communication is very important, right? And I started doing different consulting or mentoring for startups, and that's how I got into projects. Actually, it was because of my interest in the project, or sometimes I started as an early investor. And so it really depends on which level I'm involved with, but currently I'm very much into impact investing, and I'm on a board of a fund called Women's Fund Asia. So what I do really depends, and it really depends on the project. But I would say that, for example, I'm a connector. So sometimes I join a project to recommend who they should connect with, which businesses they should get in touch with. And through my contacts that I know, I was able to help them establish that contact. So it's a very unique, I guess, positioning. And actually, I did not plan. It was one thing after another. And then the network just kind of grew. And then I got more involved with different things. Or I was consulting a food innovation company. And it's because of my interest in the product, things like that. So it's been very much getting to know the product or the service, and also knowing the people who's running it, who's the founder, and how I can contribute, what I can do for them in different levels. So yeah.
Like you juggle so many things, like from what I hear, right? You juggle from jewelry, your family business to SoMa SociaL to so many, hosting so many communities. How do you not burn out? How do you continue doing that?
Well, actually, I think that's also the thing you have to learn to take some time for yourself. And of course, self-care is very important, you know, have your morning routine and always be inspired, right? So if you like TEDx, TED Talks, do listen to a lot of that, listen to things that inspires you, have a strong mindset, and that takes time as well. And I feel like for the tech people, they really need to focus more on their health and the mind. And I've been kind of taking a bit of time off to take, you know, when I travel, for example, I like to travel for a long period of time. And for me, that's how I recharge. So take some time off for yourself, definitely. It's easier said than done, but you have to. I practice yoga as well. So that's kind of my time off. I don't touch the phone when I do yoga, or when I go on trips sometimes, I try to not touch the phone. It is hard, but you have to try.
Got it. Yeah, I think it's very important to like keep on going, but we need to take time to ourselves. I think that's very important. And we see so many people burning out, right? And you just stop, right? And it's sad. It's really, really sad. Yeah.
But I think it's important to have your network of friends who can support you. Like that is the one thing I always share. And I have my great group of friends who are there, you know, from business owners to entrepreneurs and things, and we understand our journey. So that really helps. And this is where community is so important.
I can't agree more, actually. Like I've met people in the community until now, right? They'll be like, hey, even though we are like now separated in Malaysia and Singapore, they will come to me and like, hey, how are you doing, right? Are you progressing in your career? You know, are you learning? And that builds trust and accountability in the community itself. Like it was just somebody I worked with, right? Partner with, collaborated with in work, but now we became friends. And I think that is the power of having that network and being involved in the community, and that makes you want to do more. And yeah, and for me, I feel like I totally agree with you, where you get so inspired and you want to do more. And that's how I think once all this networking, all these events that we attend, we used to receive and be inspired, right? But now it's also a time, how do you know when to actually give back? Like now where you are is giving back and build that community, right?
I think I'm really grateful for the people around me that supports me as well. So I have to thank them as well. And I think it's a mutual, you know, energy, right? And I think the one thing that really like touched me was this one guy who I introduced him to some community. And a couple of years later, he came back to me and said, you know, thank you so much for that introduction. Now it's my career path and things like that. And I was just so touched that just one little thing that I've done has so much effect in his life. And I've heard many stories similar to that, you know, and I'm just like, wow, I did not know what I've done, you know, what was the positive impact on you. And from that moment on, I felt like, okay, this is going to be my journey as well, you know, so to keep on doing this. And that's kind of how my journey is. I'm still here. Yeah.
That's great. That's great to know. So maybe you can share us, like, do you have any golden advice for like young entrepreneurs, young startup people and people who just started networking? Any golden advice for them?
You know, I would say, do go to events, right? Now it's online. So do go, you never know who you will meet. Again, keep an open mind and do grow your network, because it really helps. It can help you in the future. And, you know, I cannot say this enough. You never know who you will meet. And from events, from, you know, even startup weekend, you know, startup grind, all the amazing communities, you spend time in there and you get to know the people and learn from them. So I would say just start, you know, and put yourself out there. Yeah.
And we have also another question from Jordan. How do you motivate yourself daily?
As I shared before, you got to be on your best cheerleader. So you go, woo, right? No, but I feel like you have to really pay attention to the mind, right? So I spend a lot of time learning about different mindsets and also keep on reading things that inspires me. And for me, that's how I really like find inspirations. And, you know, when you find different podcasts or meet different people, you can ask them. So, you know what? Okay, when you meet people, ask them that question. So what podcast do you like to listen to? You know, or what books should I read? I think that's also a good line to ask as well. And you learn so much as well from those kind of conversations. Sometimes it doesn't have to be just like startup tech related, you know, AI, I do it all the time. So talk about things that you do as a hobby. I think that's a good opening as well.
Great. So if you guys have any questions, please ask at the Q&A section below. We will try to answer your questions. Yes. Yeah.
You can also ask Yilin. She also have a lot of resources. You should also ask her questions.
Any questions?
Would you like to share us some of your networking tips, perhaps? Yilin, that's for you.
For me, like I go to a lot of events, right? Because I work for PTIX, an event discovery platform as well, where I need to go out. And for me, one of my struggles is actually because sometimes for work, right, networking for work, I have to go to network with people that like do not share the same interests. Like for me, I may not know film, and I have to go for events that is in film. I have no idea. So like I think what's important is to read up, learn up, and I think like you said earlier, be very curious. When you're curious, people will not judge you, because sometimes I feel being very judged, like, oh, what is this techie girl doing here, right? Is she going to sell me something, you know? So I think trying, like being very curious and try to learn and ask questions, like what you have mentioned earlier, I think that really helped me in my networking. Yeah. And like you say, it's very hard to keep, I think the first impression is very important, and potentially with, once you make the first impression, it's easier to follow up already, you know, rather than trying to like bug people and like, hey, how are you, you know? Yeah.
I was gonna say, be engaged in a conversation. When you have a conversation, you know, at an event or online, like listen to them, look at them in the eye, or look at the screen at this point, right? But don't be like, oh, look at your phone, and then like, you know, it's just like, are you listening to me? So pay attention, right? Like you are here with them now, so pay attention. I think that really helps. And
the body language, right?
Yeah, okay, so body language as well. So, you know, like when you stand, so do face them, not like give your back, like turn their back. So it's kind of like common sense, but it does have an effect on the impression part as well, right?
Right. I mean, this reminded me a little bit on like when I, like all this body language, we try to tell them that, yes, we are genuine, we want to learn. But when like things like when the conversation get a little bit like, man, like how do we quit and jump out of the conversation, you know? Like how do you show bad body language, like try to play a phone and eventually they just leave?
I think you can start signaling them by like looking away a little bit, like, oh, hey, my friend's over there, I think I have to go. But yeah, I mean, if you're online, I guess people would just be like, oh, signal lost.
Right. Just act like the signal has lost, and wow, great tip. Okay. Yeah. So yeah.
Other people can also share the tips. If you have any good tips, do share it in the comments. We want to hear your tips as well, so do share.
So yeah, so and any Q&A, if not, we'll ask. If not, we will pass it back to Malcolm. And anything else you want to share, SoMa, before we pass it back to Malcolm?
I think just take good care out there, everybody, and do build your network. And do go to networking sessions, and do join events online and offline. And yes, good luck, everybody. Take care. And you can find me on LinkedIn, SoMa Som, or tweet to me at SomCity. Thank you so much, you guys, for having me here. And we can continue this conversation after this event as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Wow. These two amazing ladies had just took over almost 50 minutes, and I think there's so much things I've shared with all of you, including myself. I'm learning from them as well. It's really amazing to hear that being take that one step out of your comfort zone and just to be out there, even though if you are shy or introvert, don't worry. Baby steps, not to rush in, or don't feel intimidated by any one of us that we are sharing about, encouraging you to go and do networking and get to know people. I think it's all about baby steps and just willing to try. And I think stay curious, get to know what's happening out there as well. And we are now in the new norm, actually, right? So everything is going to happen online, right? So I think this is also an opportunity for all of us to get in touch, or to get into any kind of workshops or events that's available out there in a very safe environment, because you are protected over a screen, right? But still, in this period of time, we really want to stress one very important thing to everyone, is that please take care of your mental health, right? So because it is really hectic now that we are trying to overcome a lot of problems, basically on work, and also our daily lives, and even like getting we are not able to do any of the social activity anymore at this period of time. So mental health is very important. Like what Soma mentioned, she's doing yoga. There's a lot of things that we all can do, gardening, or I think a lot of people are now being a chef, because they are all testing out different kind of recipes online, right? But I think it's also very important that we constantly can get in touch with our friends, like people who we have not talked to, our high school mates or university classmates, right? So this would be an opportunity for all of us to drop them a message on social media, just to say hi, how are you, just checking in. Feel free to catch up, or let me know if there's anything that we can talk about. All this plays a very big role, and this is also a very simple, small little baby steps for people who are shy or introverts. This is where you start as well, right? Thank you again for Soma spending a time with us on a Saturday afternoon. Thank you, Yilin, for being our moderator for today, and a big thank you to all of our listeners and audience who is still with us for this 1 hour session of Fireside Chat with Soma and Yilin. We are Startup Grind Sarawak. We are a very new chapter. We are here to, we're trying our level best to provide as much content and bringing in more amazing speakers in this month of June, which is the SG Women's Month, right? So please stay tuned with us. Just go to our website, startupgrind.com/Sarawak. You get to see our upcoming events. Till then, thank you very much, and see you guys. Bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Malcolm.